Hi, it's Aaron Wilson. I'm at KPRC2 Studios, and today I want to talk about quarterback rankings and Pro Football Focus, which does a nice job with the analytics. I don't know if necessarily I trust all of their evaluations from a football standpoint, meaning just evaluating the skills, the talent, but they do a great job of rankings in terms of the analytics, the statistics, all of that. But you can't measure football only on statistics. Obviously, wins and losses, the most important statistic. But I also go off of my own individual rankings when I look at quarterbacks especially and how they perform on the field. I look for arm strength. I look for accuracy. I look for leadership qualities. I look for intangibles. I look for clutch play. And so, that brings me to the topic of C.J. Stroud and the most recent Pro Football Focus preseason 2025 quarterback rankings, where they rank all 32 starters. And so CJ, want to hide any suspense, is 14th overall. So I want to talk a little about that ranking, but first kind of just go through very quickly what they call Tier 1, the elite. So no argument for me about Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs, the top guy. And then Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals, they rank him second. I would probably rank Lamar Jackson from the Ravens ahead of Joe Burrow, but different styles of quarterbacks. Lamar, very dynamic. Joe, the classic pocket quarterback. And then Josh Allen comes in at fourth. Josh, great dual threat quarterback, clutch guy, outstanding leadership, intangibles, toughness, physicality, athleticism. And between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, you don't really get more dynamic at the quarterback position. And then there's Tier 2. They call it high-end starters. And this is where you see Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles bounce back last season, wins the Super Bowl. And then Jaden Daniels, absolutely clutch, money rookie quarterback, and the runaway NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, led his team all the way to the NFC Championship game, and just an outstanding quarterback with a very bright future. Remember, it was just a year ago that they were talking about C.J. Stroud in that same category. What a difference a year makes, where you have one tough year with some substandard blocking from your offensive line, some questionable play calling and direction from a since-fired offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, and all of a sudden you're yesterday's news. But we'll get to 14th. So at 7, Matthew Stafford, still very solid, rocket arm, has great personnel. He's throwing a Puka Nacua and now Devontae Adams. Then Justin Herbert, really laid an egg in the playoffs. I would think that would have downgraded him more, but he was outstanding statistically. So he comes in at 8th. And then they have a different tier. They call this Tier 3A, solid starters who flashed high-end play. Jared Goff had a great statistical year with the exception of a 5-interception game against the Texans and still managed to win, which is still just a very poor reflection on the offense. And then 10th, Geno Smith. Well, if the Seahawks thought so highly of him, why is he a Las Vegas Raider? So you look at that. And then this is where I start to find fault with the rankings. Brock Purdy, San Francisco 49ers, system quarterback. I would say that last year was not great, but he just got paid $53 million a year. And I think C.J. Stroud will absolutely outdistance that number, maybe even gets to close to Dak Prescott's $60 million a year. We're going to see. I did a separate video on the pay scale and where I think C.J. has a real opportunity to cash in next offseason when he is eligible for a new contract. And then they call this Tier 3B, solid starters but need more help. Don't disagree that they need more help. Jordan Love needs more help at wide receiver. Maybe he got it with Matthew Golden. So then he's 12th. 13th, Baker Mayfield. Arguably had a better year statistically, not arguably did, than C.J. Stroud. So he's there at 13. And then you have C.J. And C.J., he was sacked 52 times during the regular season. He was sacked 63 times overall. So the last game, 8 sacks, hit 14 times. And I would say his offensive line, they let him down. And, now they've overhauled the offensive line. So the whole season will be a treatise on, have they improved enough? Did they get the receiving core where it needs to be after losing Stephon Diggs in free agency to the New England Patriots, and Tank Dell likely out for the season with multiple torn knee ligaments, including his ACL, that he's making a good recovery from, but the odds against him contributing this season. So what they've done, they've retooled, they've added, to go with Nico Collins, they drafted Jaden Higgins, they drafted Jalen Noel, they acquired Christian Kirk in a trade, and they restructured his contract. Offensive line, the exception of Titus Howard and Blake Fisher, it's all different out there. So you look at, Jared Patterson. So you have from left to right, likely my projections, Cam Robinson left tackle, Titus Howard left guard. Center, Jared Patterson for now. Right guard, Juice Scruggs. Right tackle for now, Blake Fisher. And I could see Ariante Ursary pushing for that starting job. I could see some changes coming. A lot of it's going to be real dependent on how does Blake, respond in year two after a rough playoff game and some up and down moments where I thought flashed some potential as a rookie, but needs to perform even better. So you're looking at this, and who is C.J. in front of? Well, he's at 14. So then Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals is 15th. And Trevor Lawrence from the Jacksonville Jaguars, 16th. Dak Prescott, coming off the torn hamstring, but he's the highest paid, $60 million a year guy, is 17th. And then Tua at 18th. And then 19th, Bo Nix. 20th, Bryce Young. 21, J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't been a starter yet. 22, Drake May. I would actually put Drake May above a lot of these guys, and I think he may well wind up eventually in that top 10. But to me, I think C.J. Stroud is better than they're giving him credit for, and I think C.J. is now going to fall into the underrated category, where at one point maybe people were hyping him up a little more than he was ready for in terms of just where he had gone in his career as a younger quarterback. But I still see the potential. I still see him reigniting and resurrecting that NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year form. I think CJ is more than capable of being the field general the Texans need, and they believe in him. And, I remember talking to the McNairs, Cal McNair, Hannah McNair, about CJ at the owners' meetings. I asked the question, what do they think of CJ heading into year 3, and how happy are they that he is their guy? And they couldn't be more thrilled. And you look at where they are as an organization in terms of being in the have, not the have-not category, in the arms race that is the National Football League, which is a quarterback league, decidedly so. So you look at CJ and where he stands, and obviously I'm sure if he's even aware of this, I don't know, if he would really highly doubt that he prints this out, puts it up on some sort of bulletin board. Wouldn't think that would be something he would do. I think he focuses just on himself. He's competing with himself, not competing with where does he rank on some statistical chart. But it's interesting, and it gives food for thought and debate, which is what this is all about. Because we're talking football. We're talking about quarterbacks. We're talking about C.J. Stroud. And this is a good problem to have, because if you're the Texans, it means that you're in the quarterback conversation. So what they're saying, Pro Football Focus, is that he is in the top half of quarterbacks, but the fourth tier. I don't think anyone could argue that he's not in the elite category, that he's not one of the top 4. I know last year he said he was top 5. That's fine. That's confidence speaking. That's not necessarily where the NFL sees you, but that's okay. I think that CJ can prove to be an elite quarterback, and really ultimately what you're judged on is winning in the playoffs. And, he's got a pair of playoff victories, 2 wild card wins, one over the Cleveland Browns as a rookie, dominant performance in that one. And he played outstanding football, improving, ad-libbing to beat the Los Angeles Chargers and outduel Justin Herbert, who is 6 spots ahead of him, ranked 8th overall on this chart. So it's not all about charts, but it gives me a topic of conversation to discuss quarterbacks. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the quarterback chart released by Pro Football Focus and where CJ ranks. And again, that's 14th in the NFL. I don't think it's necessarily disrespectful, but I wouldn't say it's exactly high esteem that PFF, the analytics company owned by Chris Collinsworth, is holding him in. And to me, I think CJ's a little bit better than that. I think he's, on his good days better than Jordan Love, on his good days better than Baker Mayfield. I think that he has potential to be ahead of the Geno Smiths and the Brock Purdys and the Jared Goffs and be up there, with Stafford and Herbert in that 7 to 9 ranking, unofficial. Call it the Aaron rankings, my rankings. And I look at CJ and I think this guy is still one of the top quarterbacks. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Please drop your comments below. And yeah, I want to hear from you. And again, yeah, appreciate everybody liking, subscribing, and watching the videos. So thank you for being a part of the channel, because it's for you guys. This is for you all to watch, and it is just like my social media content, free of charge. So on Twitter and Twitter/X, Aaron_Wilson_NFL. It's my tag. Instagram, AaronWilson7128. And on television, I'll be on television tonight with Randy McElvoy on Sports Sunday, previewing the OTAs, which are this week, which we'll have extensive coverage of. And at www.click2houston.com, which is primarily where most of my content is, beyond what I do on YouTube, what I do on television. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. And yeah, thank you for making this a fast-growing channel. We're now at over 7,200 people. Looking forward to getting to 8,000, then 9,000, then 10,000, and not putting any real limit on it and where this thing can go. Excited about YouTube, and definitely get nice sound quality here. I got my microphone here, and less reverberation here than I do at home. I actually fixed that problem. There was a refrigerator that was humming and didn't realize it was making so much noise, but they fixed it. Maintenance, they got that done. Appreciate you guys making my videos sound better. So I'll be having some videos at home that I'll feel more comfortable taping and playing for you all. Yeah, the last one just didn't like that sound quality. Didn't realize it at the time that it was so loud. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. And I've got a few other things I have to say. So I look forward to sharing some more videos. Have a good one. Bye.